see you kind of smirking and laughing, it irks me.
It only does do that because Mr. Martin thinks he's the father. That's the only reason why.
Miss Bruton, of course Mr. Martin thinks he's the father.
Well, I wish you would get it.
Ms. Bruton here admitted to sleeping with both her boyfriend and ex-boyfriend, and now they both want to be the baby daddy. And that got hot Judge Lauren Lake as mad as you've ever seen her, and here is how it all began.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
For some reason, Ms. Bruton seems to be quite sure that her boyfriend is the father of her baby. But the ex-boyfriend wasn't going to let Ms. Bruton sell that story to the judge. He claimed he remembered being intimate with her around the window of conception. He started by saying this.
I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might say I didn't have it as many times she said I did, but I know it's a fact.
No.
And it's 99.7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is mine.
No, Your Honor. We only had unprotected sex twice.
No.
That's it.
Your Honor.
Twice.
Your Honor.
In my apartment, twice.
Your Honor, it was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the car.
Now, that's a really harsh thing to do, Ms. Bruton. She made him happy about the pregnancy and then pulled a fast one on him by vanishing into the air. But here's the crazy thing. Ms. Bruton was not sure who the father of her child could be, so what did she do? She decided to tell both of them that they could both be the father of the child.
First of all, I called both of them because I wasn't for sure who was the father because I slept with both of them around the same time.
Okay, so you do admit his testimony is true.
Yes.
Take me back. I want to understand this relationship. So,
okay, me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our up and downs in our relationship. And so when I met Mr. Martin, I confided him as a friend, and then our friendship grew into a sexual relationship.
There's no denying it now. Ms. Bruton was the one who stepped out of line in the relationship. But there's more truth to be told. Apparently, Mr. Martin wasn't being so truthful with his side of the story. The judge asked him if he wanted to be in a relationship with Ms. Bruton, and the answer he gave was breathtaking. Here's what he had to say.
To guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get somebody pregnant that you
pregnant.
didn't want to be in a relationship with?
Yeah, but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes.
So you just gonna go out and just make a baby with anybody?
No, not with anybody, but
that's what you're saying.
I gotta get to know you, though.
One thing is for sure. Mr. Martin just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. The window of conception hits the table, and both Ms. Bruton and Mr. Martin can't seem to agree on the days they were intimate with each other. Ms. Bruton claimed it was a certain date, while baby daddy claimed she wasn't telling the truth.
Wow.
Yes, it is true. We only had sex twice.
Listen, that's so not true.
You're disputing those days?
Yeah, yes, yes.
When do you say you were intimate?
Before the 7th. It was like on the 5th May. That was the first time.
So you're saying you were intimate with her before and after this date of conception? Well, let's just be certain. What she has already testified to puts you in the window of conception, regardless.
Yes.
Sneaky little Ms. Bruton. She cheated and kept it a secret from her boyfriend? Wow. Could it get any worse? Anyway, Ms. Bruton claimed that it was her boyfriend who was by her side throughout the pregnancy. She claimed Mr. Martin was a pain in her ass, and all he tried to do was ruin her relationship with her boyfriend.
Who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up me and Mr. Richardson's relationship.
I didn't.
And
But when you told him he was a potential father,
yes.
Wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to
Yeah, he tried, but I tried to, I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't seeing it.
At first she did. I was trying to do that.
At least she isn't denying shutting Mr. Martin out of the picture, but it gets tricky. Ms. Bruton allowed her boyfriend to sign the birth certificate because she wanted him to be the father. Or, as she put it, she believed and hoped he was the father. Even till this moment, she doesn't know if her boyfriend is actually the father of her child.
Because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Both. So now he's legally responsible for this child.
Yeah.
Well, the case is not going to get any messier than this. Judge Lauren isn't going to sit around and watch these guys argue all day. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the DNA results. Is Mr. Martin going to end up being the father of the child?
Mr. Richardson, you are not the father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
I told you.
You are the father.
I told you. I knew what it was.
No, that is not possible. That is not possible. That is not possible.
Mr. Angileri had an affair with a married woman and now believes he is the father of her child. Ms. Vargas, on the other hand, claims he can't be the father. And that just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. He stated his case by saying this.
Mr. Angileri, you claim the defendant, Ms. Vargas, was married and having an affair with you when she got pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Now, you say she initially told you that you were not the father of her 11-month-old son, but then dropped the bomb that the child was indeed yours.
That is correct.
After her marriage was over.
That is correct.
At least one fact has been established. They weren't in a relationship. Ms. Vargas needed a shoulder to cry on, and Mr. Angileri was her perfect subject. But things were about to get very intense. Mr. Angileri claimed that all he wanted to do was be there for Ms. Vargas when her relationship with her husband was rocky. But guess what? Ms. Vargas told the judge that all he wanted to do was get her pregnant.
One night, we ended up back at my place. We'd been at the club, we got turned up. We're out there doing our thing. We went to the house, started doing our thing.
Our thing?
Yeah.
Your Honor. That night, when we, had sexual intercourse, you planned to get me pregnant. I feel like you did.
Oh, no, that's a lie.
Hold on. I realize that you may hear some things that will evoke intense emotion.
Isn't that just cute? One would even think they were in a beautiful relationship with the way they spoke about each other. Moving on, when Ms. Vargas found out she was pregnant, she told Mr. Angileri that he was the father. After a while, she decided she wanted to work things out with her husband. And that's when her entire story changed.
I wanted it to be...
She told me the baby was mine, and the next thing you know, she's telling me it's her husband.
I wanted to work things out with my husband, Your Honor. I wanted to do it for him.
You gotta face reality.
So when you first found out you were pregnant, Ms. Vargas, did you call Mr. Angileri and say this child is yours? So you told him it was his.
I first did.
Then you decided I want to try to work this out with my husband, so you tell your husband that it's his.
There could be a chance that it was him.
Looks like her decision to want to work things out with her husband blew up in her face. While trying to work things out with her husband, she told Mr. Angileri that she needed some space and time to figure out a way. But Mr. Angileri just couldn't get the thought of being the child's father out of his head.
You asked him to give you some space because you're trying to work this out with your husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
I moved away anyhow.
You respected that to a certain extent, but in your mind, you knew that you could possibly have a child.
I had a gut feeling, so come September-ish is when I contacted her husband and her, saying, you know what, reality, whether you dislike me, whether you like me, you need to let me know if this is my child when the kid is born. She never told me when he was born. I heard from people around town.
They aren't wrong about that, though, as the child needs to know who to call daddy and mummy. Even with both of them agreeing that they want to do right by the kid, Mr. Angileri claimed that he felt it in his gut that Ms. Vargas was trying to be shady with him and her husband. Here's why he felt that.
Forgive me for adultery or have anything happen with my children. I said, well, I can respect that. Do your thing. I moved up to Austin. She still lived down in Temple. I was 45 minutes away. I didn't talk to her. One of my friends that lived down in the same area told me, oh, she's getting big. She's ready to pop. So then come September, my conscience is really wearing on me like, what's she gonna tell me? Is she gonna let me know something? No, I didn't hear nothing. I moved to Washington.
If there is anything these guys are good at doing, trust me, it's arguing. Now, Mr. Angileri felt the only reason Ms. Vargas was coming back to him was because things did not work out for her and her husband. And most importantly, she didn't want her child growing up without a father.
Going well with them, I would never even hear about this. But I also see where she's coming from because she wants her son to have a father. And if he is my son, I want to be his father.
I'm just hurting for him because I want him to be there for him.
And if I'm his father, I will be there for him. But what I thought she was just trying to maybe get some money out of me. I have some evidence I'd like to...
Well, something definitely smells fishy about her story. First, she wants Mr. Angileri to be the father of her child, but she initially threatened to put a restraining order on him? Come on, Ms. Vargas. Something isn't right. Mr. Angileri had some evidence to back up his accusation, and here's what he showed the judge.
These are messages that say, I need you to give away your rights. I hope you stay away and never come around. I will put a restraining order on you.
What kind of mother does that when you think that's the father?
What had he done to warrant a restraining order?
Nothing, Your Honor.
So this is just angry talk.
It's just being angry. He wasn't there. He would always make excuses saying, oh, I can't send you money. One time, he said he was gonna send me money. I waited at Walmart.
From her tone, Judge Lauren is starting to lose her cool, trust me. One of the reasons Ms. Vargas changed her mind was that she claimed that as the baby got older, she noticed that he started to look like Mr. Angileri. But did Mr. Angileri feel the same way about the child?
On that end. But then I also looked at, well, she's lied to me on numerous occasions. I lived in the same city as she did until the kid was 6 months old, 5 months old. Why couldn't she get a hold of me then?
I felt like he was starting to look more like you, and I wanted you to be there.
Do you think he looks like me now?
Yes.
Because my other 2 kids resemble me spitting image.
I guess we know why he wants to be part of the baby's life if he ends up being the father of the child. Anyway, enough drama and testing Judge Lauren's anger. The results are in, and it's time we find out who the real father of the child is.
Mr. Angelari, you are the father.
That's all I've wanted. Like you said, everybody makes mistakes, but it's all about how you come out of it.
Ms. Curtis is in court to prove that her mother, Ms. Hall, kept her father's identity a secret. Now, she is determined to find out who her father is, and that just made Judge Llewellyn lose her cool. Ms. Curtis opened her case to the judge like this.
Ms. Curtis, you have brought your mother, Ms. Hall, to court today because you say she hid the identity of your father from you for 14 years.
My grandmother, she sat me down and she said that she wanted to tell me the truth about who my father really is to be, and that my mother has been lying to me for the past years of my life, which was 14 years old.
Did she just say she always felt adopted? What secrets did Ms. Curtis's mother hide from her to make her feel like she was adopted? Anyway, Ms. Hall decided to explain why she kept the identity of her father a secret. In her explanation, she claimed that she did it because she was trying to protect her daughter.
I did not tell my daughter at a young age about who her father was. Simply one, because I was a young girl. I was pregnant at the age of 15. I gave birth to her when I was 16 years old. When I was 15, I met Kurt. And Kurt lived pretty much like a fast lifestyle.
Okay.
And, which attracted me to him. And being young.
At least she was honest in the courtroom. She fooled around when she was much younger and found herself in a hot mess. Now, when Ms. Curtis confronted her mom about keeping her father's real identity a secret, this is how it played out.
She began to tell me her own version of the story about who my alleged father at the time. She said, he's not really your dad, baby. And I said, okay, I already know that. My Nana already told me. She told me another name. She didn't tell me Kirk's name. She gave me another name. So I said, oh, I'm just so happy. I'm gonna call Nana and I'm gonna tell her that such and such is my dad. And then she goes, oh, no. I need to tell you the truth.
I bet Ms. Hall wasn't expecting her daughter to come at her like that. In no time, Ms. Curtis got emotional. She was hurt that her mother kept such a huge secret from her when, deep down in her heart, she craved the attention of a father figure in her life. Even Judge Lauren could feel the pain in her heart.
I don't care what she's saying. I wanted a dad. I've always wanted a dad. You can be that mother. You can always be a mother. And so it's like, but I still need my own father figure. It doesn't matter at all.
Ms. Hall, can you understand how this news, it was like a bomb just dropped on her?
Trust me, being in Ms. Curtis's shoes will suck right now. Ms. Hall tried to explain to the judge that her daughter was trying to exaggerate the situation with tears in her eyes, but Judge Lauren stopped her before she could even finish her sentence.
I feel like she's making this be more than what it is.
But no. Now, Ms. Hall, before you start minimizing, you gotta listen to your daughter because she's telling you what she feels. This was an event that everybody I knew got to go to. It's called the father-daughter dance, and when she said it, my heart dropped to my feet because I've been to the father-daughter dance.
I honestly don't want a mom like Ms. Hall. That's just evil right there. When Ms. Curtis found the identity of her real dad, she started to send him letters, hoping they could reunite and be a family. But her mom came into the picture and made that an impossibility. Ms. Curtis even had some evidence to back up her claim.
The letter right here.
Jerome,
This is the first time she'll ever see the letter.
he does state he's willing to be the father she needs and deserves, and it's signed Kurt.
And Your Honor, I know you may not understand how I feel about this right here, but that's where I feel like I was deceived and crossed because I had my time that I had set aside to do the right thing.
If these two are left alone, they might turn it into a boxing match. Judge Lauren was ready to hear from the man Ms. Hall claimed was her daughter's biological father. To everyone's surprise, he also had doubts about being Ms. Curtis's biological father. This was the reason he gave to the judge.
Well, Your Honor, I'm actually somewhat doubtful. And having said that, it's because the way the situation went down. When Tamika initially told me, hey, I'm pregnant, you're the father. But as I remember, she was also in a relationship with someone else. That was actually convenient for me, being that I was with somebody. So I mean, I'll take my part. Hey,
So you're saying she told you she was pregnant, you thinking to yourself, it could easily be someone else.
Wow, that certainly adds a lot of confusion to the whole story. The only way out of this messy situation is to have the DNA test revealed, and Judge Lauren was ready to do just that. This was Judge Lauren's verdict.
Mr. Whitaker, you are her father.
Judge Lauren got super mad in this episode about Ms. Moyetti being left to take care of her little baby girl all alone. Judge Lauren was really in no mood to smile. The whole situation began like this.
Moyette, you're here in court today to prove that Mr. Lester, a man who is 20 years older than you, is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Nyla Moyette.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Lester has done nothing for your daughter, therefore you're suing for half of child-rearing expenses.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, Your Honor, Mr. Lester has hardly been involved in Nyla's life.
Things were never all lovey-dovey between Mr. Lester and Ms. Moyette. When she found out she was pregnant, she told Mr. Lester. But was he excited about the baby? Hell no. It was like the baby was going to spoil all the fun he was having.
When you told him about the pregnancy, what was his reaction, Ms. Moyette?
He was not happy. I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over to his house the day I was ovulating, okay? And I let him know, babe, I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent Nyla. And to make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla, we still haven't done anything to prevent another one.
Mr. Lester wasn't going to allow her to state the obvious, so he jumped in and called her a big fat liar. He said that all she said was in her head, and they hadn't been intimate in a really long while. Well, I sure saw that coming. He denied it all, but the revelations from Ms. Moyette will leave you in so much shock.
That's a lie. And now, it's not, Yana, we've had sex since I've had my daughter 5 times. I've counted.
And yesterday, when you had sex, did you use protection?
Yeah.
No.
Iris.
Yana, I have no reason to lie. I planned my baby's pregnancy. I planned this. I wanted to be with him. I still want to be with him.
Mr. Lester isn't being nice to Ms. Moyette at all in the courtroom. He kept emphasizing the fact that he didn't want a relationship with Ms. Moyette. He said he just wanted to have a good time, but Ms. Moyette was insistent on having a baby for him. Now, who's telling the truth? I'm pretty confused at this point.
I did want that, and she agreed to it.
I agreed to it in the beginning, and when he told me that he loved me, it opened me up to the fact that, well, maybe it could be. I mean, my background is not the best as far as me and my father. So him coming along, being older, being what I wanted from my father, I clung to that.
It was war in that courtroom. The things that were coming out of both Mr. Lester's and Ms. Moyette's mouths were just very unbelievable. Even Judge Lauren was very confused, as she couldn't make sense of it.
You're 45 years old.
Absolutely.
So when a woman says to you, I want to have your baby, and you say, no, I really don't want you to, and you're still having sex without protecting yourself, you're setting yourself up.
I've only had sex with Iris for 5 times.
That's a lie. You've never used a condom. Now, with the girls that he's cheating on me with.
Mr. Lester, who never wanted to have a kid with Ms. Moyette, stated that he had doubts about the baby being his. Was he being delusional? I mean, he was basically sleeping with Ms. Moyette without using protection. Trust me, people, these two are nuts.
Better than me, and I asked her, well, why you calling me tonight? Her response to me was, I could do both of y'all. I could do him Monday and do you Tuesday.
Yana, that's a lie. Let me tell you, that's a lie, Yana.
Thirdly, I come by, I see her with the same guy over and over and over again.
The neighborhood guy.
The neighborhood guy, yes. Over and over and over again. She admitted to having sex with that guy.
Well, it's finally time to uncover the truth after so many lies and deceptions. The day of reckoning is finally here. So take a deep breath, because the truth is finally going to be exposed.
Mr. Lester, you are Nyla's father.
Yes! Yes!
Ma'am.
Ma'am. Didn't I tell you?
Ma'am.
Didn't I tell you?
You need to be respectful.
Didn't I tell you?
Ma'am, I understand you're upset. Use proper language. Do not approach him.
Get ready for a series of accusations and denials as we dive into the chaos that unfolded in the courtroom on Paternity Court. We're talking about none other than the notorious case between Jatoya Lester and Stanley Lewis, where paternity and pride clashed in a spectacle that kept everyone on the edge of their seats. Let's dive into this case.
Ms. Lester, you opened this case against Mr. Lewis because you say he denies fathering your 21-month-old son, Raiden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Only because you won't have sex with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you want Mr. Lewis to step up after today's results prove that he is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lewis, you claim Ms. Lester was openly sleeping with several men, and there is no way you are her son's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jatoya Lester strutted into court with a mission to prove that Stanley Lewis was the father of her 21-month-old son, Raiden. Right from the get-go, the tension was palpable. Stanley wasn't just denying he was the dad, he was launching accusations that Jatoya was a notorious liar, known all over town for her escapades. Ouch. Talk about starting off with a bang. The courtroom buzzed with whispers and side glances as everyone braced for what was coming next.
Me and Stanley planned my son.
We did not plan a baby.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We've also never used a condom. We talked about having a baby numerous times, so this is all new to me on why he's not claiming my son.
So you're denying the baby?
No, I'm not denying a baby. It's just Jatoya Lester, she just always lying. She's known the street to be a hoe. And
all right, let's be respectful.
Excuse my language. It's just
Your Honor, excuse my French, he's the hoe.
As the drama unfolded, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a straightforward case. Stanley admitted to the judge that, yes, he had had unprotected sex with Jatoya. However, in a classic he said, she said, he accused her of sleeping around, suggesting the paternity was up for debate. Judge Lake was quick to intervene, schooling Stanley on respect and reminding him of his choices that night. The plot thickened when Jatoya revealed their conversations about starting a family, talks that evidently didn't resonate with Stanley as he threw back denials as fast as accusations were hurled.
How did you even end up in a sexual relationship?
Back when I was young, we've known each other since for probably about 6-7 years. And
oh, so you all knew each other for a long time?
Yes, we have. And I seen her at a grocery store one day. She was with another man then, so I didn't say nothing. When I seen her on Facebook, I inboxed her. She inboxed me back saying all guys want to do is have sex.
But wait, there's more! Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Jatoya dropped a bombshell. Another man was present at Ryden's birth and had even signed the birth certificate. If the courtroom was a pot, this revelation was the spoon that stirred it into a frenzy. Stanley was left grappling with the implications, while the audience was left wondering just how deep this rabbit hole went.
He was at the hospital.
At the hospital, he cut the umbilical cord and he signed the birth certificate. So how am I the father?
He sure did.
Let me look in my court files because we got a copy of that birth certificate.
Yes, he did.
This birth certificate, oh yeah, here it is, from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Certified record of birth for Raiden Jador. And your father's name is another man's name.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you let another man sign the birth certificate when you told Mr. Lewis it was his child?
Yes, I did.
The climax of this courtroom drama came with a twist that no one saw coming. Amidst the heated exchanges and fiery looks, social media entered the picture. Yes, you heard that right. Paternity results were flaunted on social media for all to see, turning personal drama into public spectacle. The courtroom was left scratching their heads, Judge Lake included, trying to piece together the puzzle of relationships, paternity, and modern-day privacy invasion.
Mr. Lewis just testified that you and Ms. Lester have had a 10-year relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you've been sexually active with her for those 10 years?
Not at all, Your Honor.
Stop lying, man. Quit fronting.
When I got in the picture, Raiden was already, I'd say, 3 to 4 months.
Right. So you don't believe you can't be, that still doesn't matter, because if you've been 10 years on and off.
Not sexually though, Your Honor.
Oh.
You believe it.
It's just,
you believe it.
He knows that. Then, like I said, I'm really here for support, really.
About time, this chaotic journey of paternity claims came to a head. Yep, it was result time, and the courtroom was thick with anticipation, the air crackling with every heartbeat, with accusations flying left, right, and center. The truth was just moments away from being unveiled. Who would end up being the father of little Ryden? Or was there an unexpected twist lurking in the shadows of this family drama?
Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
Can I say this? I made a mistake.
Today's episode takes a solemn turn as we step into a courtroom filled with grief and contention. In the spotlight, we have Ms. Hooker and her mother, battling against Ms. Baker and her daughter, in a dispute shadowed by tragedy and unresolved questions. It's a story of young love, sudden loss, and the quest for truth amidst the clouds of doubt. Let's delve into the details.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family family's public denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child.
Ms. Hooker entered the courtroom with a heavy heart, seeking to prove that Ms. Baker's deceased son, Mr. Abraham, fathered her 10-month-old daughter. But this case is about more than just DNA. It's about closure and healing. Ms. Baker, representing her late son, contests the claim, driven by her son's doubts expressed before his untimely death. The stage was set for an emotional showdown, with each side desperate to find peace.
You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
How have you been affected by Ms. Baker's doubts about Kania's paternity?
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else looking upside my head like I'm an animal or something. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm the outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is it a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing and none of that.
The air was tense as Ms. Hooker recounted her relationship with Mr. Abraham. What started as a friendship blossomed into something more, but not without complications. As Ms. Hooker navigated her narrative of love and loss, Ms. Baker interjected with memories of her son's suspicions and fears. It was a heart-wrenching ordeal, watching a mother struggle with her son's legacy while another fought for her child's right to a father's name.
That's not the way that you go about doing
Ms. Hooker, let me ask you, what was your relationship with Keyshawn? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
First we was best friends. 6th grade year, we was best friends, and then we started talking. Then we stopped talking. And just like we stopped talking. Then we started going together for a minute, and then like when I got pregnant, it was just like we always talked, but we just stopped going together. But we still talking though, but we just stopped going together. Like we weren't boyfriend or girlfriend.
Okay, but then you still talked.
Yeah.
Were you in love, or was this was your first love?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arguments started as Ms. Baker detailed the uncertainties her son shared with her, stories of other potential partners, and promises of paternity tests that were never taken due to his tragic passing. The courtroom became tense at the thought of a young man torn between doubt and duty, his life cut short before he could resolve his inner turmoil. The judge listened intently, her face a mask of empathy as she navigated the delicate balance between justice and compassion.
Kania's biological father.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia.
Okay.
And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go, and now we're here.
Well, I'm so very sorry for your loss. Let me say that. I know this is difficult. May I ask what happened to Keyshawn?
He was shot.
As testimonies were given, tempers rose. Ms. Hooker's defiance clashed with the Bakers' grief-stricken denials, each side hurling accusations and guarding secrets. The emotional stakes were ski-high, with Ms. Baker grieving how the sight of the child stirred memories of her lost son, complicating her grief with unresolved questions about paternity. This wasn't just a trial to determine fatherhood. It was a cathartic outlet for unspoken pain and pent-up anger.
Ask you, was there another guy?
No, because that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody. What do I have to lie for?
Keyshawn told us that he wanted the blood test. The only way, Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her stomach. He had doubts only when he was angry. And I cannot get mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. But when he came over there with us, he held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results for Miss Carolyn.
About time, this heart-rending journey reaches its climax. Yep, it was result time. And the courtroom braced for what was sure to be an explosive revelation. With emotions running high and the legacy of a lost son hanging in the balance, could a DNA test bring closure to these tormented souls? Who would emerge as the father of young Ms. Hooker's child? Or was there another twist waiting to tear open old wounds?
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenia Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Ms. Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
then they weren't gonna tell me sorry, so I'm not telling them nothing.
Do you need to sit down, man?
Nobody did anything to you, honey.
I don't care. Miss
Nobody
Philly do nothing to me,
did
but I don't
nothing
like
to
you.
That's
I don't like you.
fine, sweetie. It's
I don't like you.
fine.
Okay, I don't care.
It's
Nothing.
okay.
Stop talking to me then.
Nobody did anything to you.
Miss Hooker, just stop.
Stop it! Stop, please!
Today's episode of Paternity Court is a roller coaster ride of emotion, artistry, and unexpected twists. Over here, we have the convoluted world of Tyesha Gentry Lee and Taurus Morgan, where a potential music deal spirals into a dramatic paternity dispute. The drama and suspense fill the courtroom as the spotlight comes on.
Mr. Morgan, you're suing your former fling, Miss Gentry Lee, to prove that you fathered her 1-month-old daughter, Amaya, and say today the DNA test will show you are her baby's dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Gentry Lee, you say that it's impossible for Mr. Morgan to be Amaya's biological father and want him to leave you alone when the results prove your case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Morgan, why do you believe she's denying you're the father?
I simply believe that she's denying this because we're no longer in a relationship and we're not going to be.
Taurus Morgan steps into the courtroom with a claim as bold as his ambitions. He's here to prove that he is indeed the biological father of 1-month-old Amaya. Tyesha, however, strikes a different note, adamantly denying his paternity and wishing he would simply leave her and her daughter alone. The stage is set, the audience is tense, and the judge prepares to navigate through their tumultuous narrative.
You're the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to the court how this relationship started.
Okay, well, I'm in artist management for a living. When the time I met Miss Gentry Lee, she was with an artist that I was considering signing. I called to speak with him and to tell him, you know, come over, have a drink, let's sit down and discuss some details and see what we can do. Well, Miss Gentry Lee had answered the telephone and she said at that time that he was no longer with her, their relationship is over. I stated that I was at home, chilling out, I already prepared for him, you know, to be there with me or whether to come over, I was gonna have a drink and kick back.
The backstory unfolds like a drama script. Taurus thought he was signing an artist, but life had a different script in store. Their relationship began with a broken professional appointment and spiraled into an intimate encounter that neither planned. As Taurus recounts the evening that changed their lives, Tyesha interjects with her own version, one full of deceit and a relationship built on shaky grounds. This isn't just a paternity case. It's a story of crossed lines and blurred boundaries.
So I stayed with him September the 19th. We did a quickie. Then I left him that day and went with another guy, Your Honor, that actually helped me with my baby the whole pregnancy. I was not showing with Mr. Moore, Your Honor. I was not getting sick until I met
the other person.
Yes.
Now, listen, so this is why you're convinced that Mr. Morgan is not your child's father.
Yes.
Because you didn't have any pregnancy symptoms, you didn't have anything until you were with this other guy.
Yes.
But the plot thickens. Taurus insists on his involvement during the early days of Amaya's life, only to be met with rejection and accusations from Tyesha, who claims his romantic overtures were unwelcome. The courtroom buzzes with whispers as the judge sifts through their tangled narratives, trying to find a thread of truth among the web of lies. Every word adds weight to an already heavy atmosphere, where the future of a child is at stake.
That is not true,
She
Your Honor.
explained
He
to
did not
me
ask
that
me
when I
that.
asked her that she had
He did not
nowhere to
ask
go,
me that.
she had nowhere to go. She
No.
was staying with a family member of hers, and her family member thought she was a bad influence on the rest of the girls that were there in the house, and she couldn't stay there any longer.
So you end up living together.
Yes.
You all are having sex.
Yes.
Unprotected.
Yes.
Then you find out she's pregnant.
Yes.
Do you tell Mr. Morgan as soon as you find out, or do you tell the
No,
other
Your
guy?
Honor. I did not tell Mr. Moore I was pregnant.
How did you find out she was pregnant?
She was at my house. She needed some hygiene products. I was going shopping for my own things.
As tensions escalate, the accusations fly. Tyesha and Taurus trade accusations over the nature of their relationship, with each revelation more startling than the last. The audience is caught in a back-and-forth match of he said, she said, where every statement could tip the scales of justice. The judge watches closely, with a seriousness that the case demands, as she prepares to get to the heart of the matter.
At that time, I figured she had been there for a month. Like, okay, so when is your period, basically? Are you gonna need some pads? She's like, yeah. She put them in my top shelf that's next to my bathroom, and they remained there. They never got open. She never used one. And after time, I'm like, okay, why aren't these open? Why aren't you using them? I haven't had my period. Why haven't you had your period? I don't know. Well, let's check and see if maybe you're pregnant, because that's usually what happens if you miss a cycle. So I made an appointment, and at that time, she went in for a urinalysis test, to take a urine test to see if she was pregnant, okay? Once she went and took that test.
About time, this saga of love and lies nears its finale. The courtroom holds its breath, anticipating the verdict that could unravel the mystery of Amaya's paternity. With the stakes as high as the emotions, what will the DNA reveal? Is Taurus truly the father? Or has Tyisha's denial more to it than meets the eye? Or perhaps, is there another twist waiting to be uncovered in this melodic conundrum?
You are the father.
I don't get her. We've been through hell and back.
Born. I never got to hold her. I never got to.
She moved away when she was 8 months pregnant on us.
You to stay at my house. You could have stayed.
With me, you say I don't like you so much, but I was there for you. I bought your baby clothes. I fed you.
Like you're but whatever this agreement we have with us, Tyrus, I don't think she'll be around you. I'm sorry, I'm letting the judge.
And I will be filing for joint custody. Please believe
Goodness.
Strap in for another tumultuous episode of Paternity Court, where the stakes are high and the emotions higher. Today's case features Miss Sales and Mr. Jackson, embroiled in a fiery debate over the paternity of a child born out of a relationship shadowed by secrets and denials. Sit tight as this case unfolds amidst accusations of infidelity and racial undertones that add layers of complexity to an already heated dispute.
Miss Sales, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Jackson, were in a serious relationship and it was his idea to have a baby. But now that your 3-year-old daughter, Micaiah, is here, he denies being her father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, you claim that Miss Sales is a former side chick who is trying to pin a baby on you only because she wants you back in her life.
From the outset, the atmosphere in the courtroom is charged with tension. Miss Sales claims that she and Mr. Jackson were in a 5-year relationship, a claim Mr. Jackson completely denies, labeling her as nothing more than a side woman. As Miss Sales recounts their history, the story goes into a saga of love and betrayal, punctuated by their ongoing dispute about the complexion of their child, Miss Sales being of darker skin, and the baby light-skinned, a point Mr. Jackson uses to fuel his paternity denial.
You are not her daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Sales, explain why you opened your case today.
I opened my case today because I was with D'Amico for 5 years. We were in a relationship. We had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his family, now he feels like that is not his child. Since the day my daughter was born, because she was light-skinned with gray eyes, that was not his child because I'm too dark to have a light-skinned baby.
Mr. Jackson's testimony throws the courtroom into further disarray. His dismissive attitude and the blunt denial of his fatherhood bring uncomfortable murmurs from the audience. The judge interjects, reminding everyone that skin color does not define paternity, casting a stern look at Mr. Jackson as she calls for respect and decorum in her courtroom.
I mean, we had a relationship, but it wasn't serious. You know, we was just, you know.
You left your ex to come be with me. How was we not in a relationship?
It was more of, you know, she had great sex.
I put it on him and he could never leave.
I mean, it happens like that, you know, Jan, it happens like that, you know. It was just.
So you're saying you were only with her for a sexual relationship?
She was my side woman.
So did you make that clear, or were you making her feel like she was your real woman, but really you were just having a side woman?
She was just my side woman.
The plot thickens as allegations of other potential fathers emerge. Mr. Jackson alleges that Miss Sales was seen with another man, which could possibly explain the child's appearance. He bases his doubts not only on hearsay, but also on malicious gossip that has swirled around their community, further complicating the narrative.
So at the time of the doctor's visit at the end of August, no, I was not pregnant. But again, we had sex at the hospital that same night and would have sex every day on the regular. So of course, it wasn't that hard for me to conceive within the next week or two by him.
So yeah, Mr. Jackson, it sounds like you all were a side woman, main woman, whatever it was to you. It sounds like you all were having a lot of sex.
Yeah.
And so if you were having that much sex,
it was good.
So listen, I'm not asking about the quality.
Yes, ma'am.
I made a comment on the quantity, even though we know it only takes once anyway.
As the emotional intensity peaks, both parties throw accusations that just how much mistrust and deception there is between them. Mr. Jackson clings to his doubts while Miss Sales fights back tears as she defends her single encounter that led to her pregnancy. The judge listens intently, her face a mask of concentration as she prepares to sift through the tangled web of words to uncover the truth.
It was just too much at the time.
What do you mean too much?
This lie is too much. We got to the building.
Listen, Your Honor,
this lie is too much.
I wonder, first of all, I'm sensitive myself. So I wanted to take it, but I also also wanted to listen to what she had to say at the end of the day, because
So what is she saying to you while she's crying?
she was just saying that, you know, I'm wrong for doing this, you know, I'm not right for doing this, like I should believe her.
And because you're such a nice, sweet, humble young man,
Yes, Sean.
you just decided I don't want to hurt this young woman's feelings.
About time, this saga of concealed truths and exposed lies draws to a close. Yep, the results are here, and the courtroom is abuzz with anticipation. Will the DNA test dispel the clouds of doubt that hang over this case? Who is the real father of Miss Sale's child? Or is there yet another revelation waiting to shock us all in this twisted tale of paternity and prejudice?
Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that. I don't run no circus, and I don't need no clowns.
I understand.
We're talking about a baby. She should know who you are.
She know who I am.
She don't need no side daddy. She needs the daddy that is going to be protecting her. She needs the daddy that's gonna carry the world on his shoulders for her. And Miss Sales, I'm gonna be honest. I get it. I see your tears.
With a smirk on her face, Miss Stovall appeared in court with the aim of trying to win the love of her life back. For Miss Stovall, the results from the case meant everything, and if they did not come out in her favor, she would be beyond devastated. She opened her case by saying this.
Miss Stovall, you say nothing could mean more to you than today's paternity results. You are desperate to prove to Mr. Hines that he fathered your 4-month-old son, Robert, with the hopes you can win him back and one day get married. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hines, you claim you once loved Miss Stovall, but believe her baby was fathered by another man, and therefore you can't be with her.
Ms. Stovall must really be looking forward to a happy ever after with the defendant, Mr. Hines. For both of them to be in paternity court, somebody must have messed up big time. Judge Lauren asked Mr. Hines why he had doubts about the child in question, and this was his reply.
Yes, I have doubts because although I do have a lot of love for Miss Stovall and I've given a lot to her, sacrificed a lot for her, there's just so much things that she has done that has created a lot of doubts and a lot of discrepancies of if this really is and truly my son.
Let's talk about how this got started. At one point you were happy.
Yes.
He notice any red flags? I wonder what those flags could be. Anyway, Judge Lauren then asked him to explain what kind of red flags he saw when he claimed to have gone through her phone. I must confess, they were some serious red flags, all right.
Where was that, in her phone?
It was in her Facebook messages.
Oh.
We were just getting serious, and I was never gonna do those things.
In your relationship with Mr. Hines, you were completely faithful?
Yes.
You were. And Mr. Hines, you don't believe that's true?
I have my strong doubts about it being true because there are just overwhelming piles of instances.
Was she having an affair with someone else? I mean, why would you disappear on someone you claim to love for days? Ms. Stovall has got to be hiding something. Judge Lauren then asked Mr. Hines if he had any other evidence that could back up his claim. What he said next was mind-blowing.
Yes, when she gets mad and when she gets frustrated, she sends me pictures with other guys. She sends me text messages questioning the paternity saying, I can't believe you're trying to take him and you don't even know if he's yours, which would immediately—
Wait a minute, Ms. Stovall, you sent him pictures of you with other men?
Well, they were friends of mine, but we were never, it was never sexual between me and those friends that I sent him pictures of,
But
ever.
I can't know that for sure.
Now, why would Mizzy Stovall do something like that? That's just going too far if you ask me. Trying to defend herself, Mizzy Stovall claimed that during the period she sent him those pictures, she was just very mad with him and never slept with any of the guys in the picture. But the evidence told a different story.
Like that to me.
No, I was upset when I sent those pictures, but it didn't mean
What
that.
is this neck photo of?
I don't know what that's about.
That's just an example of the type of picture she'll send me.
Did you send him that picture, Ms. Stovall?
No, Your Honor.
Is that you in the picture?
That's me.
How did he get the picture?
Probably off my Facebook.
So what is the last photo?
This photo.
What? Is that your behind, Ms. Stovall?
The fact that she was laughing at the picture just says it all. She clearly doesn't feel sorry for taking those pictures. As you would expect, Judge Lauren was not going to see something like that and not call her out on her behavior. Judge Lauren spoke to her saying this.
Okay, but do you understand then how these types of photographs along with your behavior, has created a level of doubt for him.
Yes.
Do you take that seriously?
I do.
Do you think she takes the relationship seriously, Mr. Hines?
For me, in all honesty, with all the love I do have for her, I really don't feel like she takes a relationship as serious as she says with her words.
Wow, Mr. Hines must really love her to still want to be in the relationship. Now, the pictures were not the only piece of evidence Mr. Hines brought to the court. He claimed that when he had a conversation with his mom, she told him that the way Ms. Stovall got pregnant just didn't add up.
And Ms. Stovall got into something in early June. She was living with me and my mother and my stepfather at the time because we all had an apartment together. She was living there. I came back from work and I asked my mother, where is Ms. Stovall? She said, oh, she went out with a friend and she hasn't been back since such and such time.
Mr. Hines might be onto something judging from the explanation he just gave. After all that yapping about, Judge Lauren asked Mr. Hines who he thought the father of the child was, since he claimed he couldn't be the father. He claimed the baby belonged to one of her friends, whom she was always talking to on Facebook.
Who do you think the father is?
One of her friends on Facebook that's always talking to her.
I've never been intimate with that friend ever, Your Honor.
It can fool.
How do you know which specific person she's talking about?
I know because he's in constant communication. He has said things to her.
Your Honor, I can't stop what men say to me.
You can establish a...
At least she didn't lie about how she felt. She might not like Mr. Hines, but she also believes he is the father of the child. We've seen enough of Ms. Stovall and Mr. Hines' drama in the courtroom. Now, let's see what verdict Judge Lauren is going to give with the DNA results.
Mr. Hines, you are the father. Told. How's it feel, Mr. Hines?
I didn't. This is my first son. And I had to hold back all my emotions until I knew.
I'm not going to lie to you, this was a very funny case. Ms. Mackenzie was present in the courtroom to prove that the defendant, Mr. Guy, was the father of her child. She claimed that the reason he was denying her child was because he already had too many kids. The case started with Ms. Mackenzie saying,
Ms. Mackenzie, you say Mr. Guy abandoned you and your daughter, Anaya, soon after she was born, and denies he's her father only because he already has too many kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Guy, you say you knew this wasn't your child from the moment Ms. Mackenzie said she was pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Mackenzie, when did you first realize that he denied he was your daughter's father?
Well, when I told him that I was pregnant.
Hold on, did she just say she was going to school with some of his kids? She can't be serious. To make things even worse, Ms. Mackenzie was way younger than Mr. Guy. Even the judge could not hide her disappointment when she found out their ages.
You went to school with some of his kids?
With one of his kids. We was in college together. With one of his kids. And then like when I asked him.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
And how old are you, Mr. Guy?
45.
Oh boy. Okay, so when did you realize he was denying your child? That he said this is not my child?
After I had her, he was at the hospital and everything. When he brought us home, he just like basically set her on the floor in her car seat. He was like, I gotta go run an errand, and he never came back. So
damn, she had to use her friend's phone to call him. That is just unbelievable from Mr. Guy. Judge Lauren had to turn to Mr. Guy and ask him if he was actually ignoring Ms. Mackenzie because of the child. Guess what? He did not deny the accusation.
Intimate relationship with her. Why are you saying it's someone else's child?
Because the instance that I catch her telling lies. Like one time, me and my brother pulled up. She was sitting in the car with somebody, and they was there for a while because we was sitting up there watching them. So
what were they doing in the car?
I thought they was having sex.
Really?
Can I say something? That night that he's talking about, I called him and he told me to come over to his house. When I got there, he was not there.
Oh, now he can't recall saying that? Mr. Guy sure knows how to lie. Here's where things get really intense. Mr. Guy kept telling the judge that there was no way he could be the father of the child, even though they never used a condom. Judge Lauren then asked why he was so certain, and this was the answer he gave.
With her, why are you saying it's someone else's child?
Because the instance that I catch her telling lies. Like one time, me and my brother pulled up. She was sitting in the car with somebody, and they was there for a while because we was sitting up there watching them. So
what were they doing in the car?
I thought they was having sex.
Really?
Can I say something? That night that he's talking about, I called him and he told me to come over to his house. When I got there, he was not there.
Enough with the lies already, Mr. Guy. Everyone in the courtroom already knows he isn't telling the truth. Judge Lauren had to ask him if he had any other reason to doubt the baby's paternity, and he went on to drop a heavy truth bomb in the courtroom.
I mean, it was just like we was messing around. We was steady messing around.
All right. What is your doubt? What else, guy?
One time I was getting off of work. They let me off work at maybe like 6 a.m. and I usually get off at 7. So I pulls up to the house and I looked at my phone, then looked back up, and there was a dude standing right there. I'm like, where did he come from?
Was there really a guy in the house, or is Mr. Guy just trying to paint Ms. Mackenzie as the bad guy in his story? Oh well, I guess we'll find out. Ms. Mackenzie had her mom in the courtroom as a witness. The judge asked her what she knew about the messy situation, and believe me, she had quite a lot to say.
I'm really upset at Mr. Guy because he denying my granddaughter. She really don't even know who he is, and I'm upset with him. And I did live with them for a while, and he goes to the club. He might not even come in for 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days?
Yes.
What's with all these disappearing acts, Mr. Guy?
I was stressed.
You were stressed?
Yeah, she stressed me.
You could hear it in her voice. She was hurt by the way Mr. Guy was threatening her and her child. Every single reason Mr. Guy gave to the judge, as his doubts about being the father, just didn't make any sense. So the judge had to ask him one more time if he had any actual evidence, and he decided to present an exhibit.
As you see right here, Your Honor, 7:45, this is the actual schedule they be having. 7:45 a.m., that's when classes begin. And 4:55 p.m., that's when classes end, the last class.
So the last class is at 4:55?
Yes.
And you say she didn't get home till midnight?
She didn't get home till midnight.
So where are you? Class don't last that long?
Your Honor, I have no idea.
Well, that explains why she had to be away at odd times. But that explanation did not convince Mr. Guy one bit, and it just made Ms. Mackenzie burst into tears. She felt bad and stupid that she had to pick a man like Mr. Guy to have a child with.
Why do you think there are a lot of possibilities?
Everything she's saying is inconsistent. Because like I said, I was there.
You was not there.
But
no birthdays, no Christmases, nothing.
He hasn't spent Christmas or
Nothing.
birthday?
She don't know who he is.
She doesn't acknowledge him?
He comes to our city where we live, and I have to call him and say, do you want your kids here? Yeah, I come and get them. He never showed up. He came and got them for Thanksgiving.
How does it make you feel that Anaya's 3 years old and has absolutely no relationship with her father?
It angers me.
There were just too many reasons to see that Mr. Guy had been lying all this while. Ms. Mackenzie had the birth certificate of her baby. Guess who signed the slot as the father? None other than Mr. Guy himself. When asked if he did, he claimed it was forged.
Are you on the birth certificate?
I don't remember signing the birth certificate.
He's
I think she signed it.
You're
I
lying.
think she signed it because
in the state of Michigan, when you get ready to sign that birth certificate, they hand me your ID. You can't sign nothing
Jerome,
without
let me
him
see
being
this
there.
evidence.
I don't remember signing
He
the birth
signed it.
certificate.
He know he did. He even said after I had my baby in an hour, no drugs or nothing. He was there when I had my baby. He drove me to the hospital. He took 35 minutes to get me there.
I'm sure we've had enough of Mr. Guy's lies and Ms. Mackenzie's inability to pick a reasonable man to be with. Anyway, the results are in, and the judge is ready to give her verdict as to who the father of the child is.
Mr. Guy, you are her father. Now what, Mr. Guy? Speak.
I feel pretty much ashamed. I would like to be a father to her.
So what are you gonna do? Where are we gonna go from here?
Gotta first start by making up time
Yes.
with her, my daughter.
Yes.
And
When's the last time you saw her?
In this episode of Paternity Court, Ms. Winter, the plaintiff, had been together for 6 good years. The relationship, however, took a nosedive when the defendant, Mr. Cawley, started to have doubts about the paternity of their son. Mr. Cawley claimed she had been unfaithful throughout the relationship, and the case began like this.
Ms. Winters, you say that you and Mr. Cawley have been together for 6 years, but now his paternity denial of your son, Amani, has put your relationship in jeopardy. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cawley, you claim that throughout your relationship, Ms. Winters has been unfaithful, and say when today's results prove you are not Amani's father, the relationship is over. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh wow, that's enough reason to have doubts about the paternity of the child, trust me. As you would expect, Judge Lauren was not going to let something like that slip away. She asked Mr. Cawley to explain further what he meant when he said he caught her with another man.
Mr. Cawley, tell me what happened. You said you caught her in the bed with somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I was away, and the moment I got home, I was ready to just flop in the bed. I had been away for a minute, and I turned the corner and I see both of them laying in the bed, and the guy was asleep,
and she was laying there.
I was dressed. We were dressed.
You had your clothes on, you said, but you were in the bed with a guy.
Yes. Well, he was a family friend.
So she actually did sleep with the guy. I wonder what else she could have done to make Mr. Cowley doubt he is the father of her child. Well, you're about to find out because Judge Lauren asked him if she did other things, and this was his response.
I admitted at the time I was talking to other guys and stuff, but like I said at the time, a couple months before that, I had just found out he was with some girl. I just can't prove he cheated, and he won't be man enough to tell me he cheated, so I just kind of strung away from the relationship.
Because I didn't cheat.
So wait a minute. You all have all this going on, and Mr. Cawley, you're saying because of all of this, you have doubt concerning Amani's paternity.
Yes, Your Honor.
If he had to get a lie detector test done, you can bet Ms. Winter had been telling a lot of lies. Moving on, Mr. Cowley and Ms. Winter told the judge that the problems in their relationship started when they started living together. After that, things were never the same again.
Because, we started getting more serious, we had more problems. And
yes, as soon as we got our first place, that's exactly when we started going downhill.
Why?
Because
there was too much responsibility for him.
There was no.
She said it was too much responsibility for you, Mr. Cawley.
I'm a young man. I have no kids. Helping her take care of her 2 kids.
Oh, so when you moved in together, Ms. Winters had 2 other children.
2 other children.
If these two make it out of this courtroom as a couple, it would be one hell of a miracle. Now, Ms. Winter claimed that there was a period in their relationship when she found out that Mr. Cowley was not faithful, and that caused them to take a break. When they got back together, this happened.
The girl he was actually caught talking with. When I found out he worked with her, I was like, don't talk to her. And then next thing I know, I'm finding out he's at her house, giving her rides. So, at that point, I was ready to break up with him.
And so after this incident, you all decided to break up?
We did for maybe a week or 2.
But at some point, you come up pregnant.
Yeah, well, we ended up getting back together at the end of 2013, and we pretty much were like, look.
Wow, she was pregnant with his child and was still messing with the other guy? Ms. Winter needs some scolding, trust me. One thing was certain though, their relationship was a mess, and Mr. Cowley just could not trust anything that came out of Ms. Winter's mouth.
Walking in the house, seeing her in the bed with somebody else, all of these things have fueled your doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
And now your relationship is it's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Your Honor.
We just don't trust each other.
And there's a beautiful 16-month-old baby in the middle of it. And you don't know for certain if it's your biological child.
No, Your Honor, I don't know.
She cheated and still has an I don't care attitude? One could honestly believe she doesn't care about his feelings at all. Anyway, the results of the lie detector test were in, and the judge read them out like this.
On the day Michael found a man in your bed, did you have sex with him? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being truthful. You were asked, have you had sexual intercourse with anyone other than Michael since the end of 2013? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
I bet she was not expecting the judge to slam that in her face. Without wasting any more time, the judge decided it was time to reveal the DNA results and determine if everything Ms. Winter said was a lie.
Mr. Cawley, you are the father.
So that right there should prove to him I wasn't cheating, around the time.
Well, it doesn't really prove that, Miss Winters. But it does prove that Amani is his biological child, and it relieves the doubt.
Right.
The arguing, the not knowing, we have to get this together.
The squabble that went on within this family should have been aired as a series on Netflix because it was just so chaotic. Miss Chandler and Mr. Hilliard were suing Mr. Hilliard's sister and mother for defamation of character. Does that even make sense to you? Because it sure doesn't to me. The case began like this.
Miss Chandler, you and your boyfriend, Mr. Hilliard, are suing his sister and mother for defamation of character. You claim they are spreading malicious rumors regarding the paternity of your son, Brandon Jr. You are seeking the results of a paternity test to prove that your baby is indeed Mr. Hilliard's son. You are asking the court for damages in the amount of $500. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There was no time to waste right here. It was a war front with everyone getting ready to empty their clips. Ms. Jackson, who happened to be Mr. Hilliard's sister, started by dropping some heavy bombshells in the courtroom. Looks like Miss Chandler is no saint at all.
I have got to ask the defendant in this situation, what do you know about Miss Chandler?
Annie has always gone to the racetrack, and
She talks to guys on Facebook, texting guys, and she has a lock on her cell phone to where my brother can't see her phone. She's cheated on my brother. He stayed at my house with his kids.
Now, what proof do you have of that?
She's admitted it to me.
No, I have not.
Ms. Chandler cut her short and dove in like a blazing volcano. She wasn't in the mood to let her boyfriend's sister mess her name up in court, and so she began. She was firm on Ms. Jackson having no business in their relationship, and from that point on, things started to escalate really badly.
I know,
we were talking, and it was after me and Brandon broke up that I started talking to him, and yes, I slept with him one time.
But Brandon still
while we were broken up, so that should not even be brought up.
Well, Brandon still was thinking that you guys were getting back together.
You should not be talking about me sleeping around.
What I do with my life is my business.
3 babies, 3 baby daddies.
Ms. Jackson then started to throw shades at Ms. Chandler again, stating how she kept having different affairs with different men while her brother was away. The question everyone kept asking was, how does she know so much?
A guy that she lived next door to, she started dating him when my brother went to California with his 6 son.
He broke up with me and I dated him for 3 days.
You seem really into what's going on with them.
It's my little brother.
What's it to you, really? I mean, he is his own man. He might have made his own choices.
It's my brother. You know, she's from day one. I've seen that she's used him. She holds those kids over his head all the time.
Oh, trust me. It was not just a war zone in the courtroom. It felt like the roofs of the building could no longer contain the heat of the drama that was going on. In my mind, I'm like, are these guys really a family? Do they ever stop fighting? It was insane, trust me.
They've kept your grandchildren from you too?
Yes, I do. I have always asked you to come over and see your grandkids. You said those aren't my grandkids.
I haven't told you that.
Okay, that's why you called him a punk. You told me that he'd never be a part of you, even if this test comes back that it's your grandson, right?
I never said that.
You and Gina. Gina. Yeah.
No, I told you.
The rants just keep coming and coming and coming. These guys are yelling in the courtroom like they're in a football stadium. Ms. Chandler then tells the judge the secret as to why the sister and mother don't want her in the family. All this is just because they're jealous?
The problem is I took him away from them. I was a woman and I took care of my man.
That's so not my problem.
That's
you can have Brandon.
I took care of him.
Honestly, you can.
He did not need them no more.
Let me clarify. You are his sister, right?
Right.
Okay, I want to understand from you. Why is it so bad that your brother is dating Miss Chandler? What is it?
Because I'm a real woman.
Now, the things your ears are about to hear will leave your whole body in shock. These guys didn't care where they were. They were ready to drag each other until no one was left standing. I mean, if they could do this in a courtroom, how toxic is their home?
We can't even go a day without arguing about them. I cannot be with them and be a part of them. They have hurt me way too much.
I want you to look at me and tell me right now.
No, you ain't.
Why do you think they dislike you so much?
Because I'm a woman and I took care of him. I took him away from them, is how they see it.
What, are you his mommy too?
Well, their chaotic journey finally came to a close, and everyone in the courtroom couldn't wait for them to take their leave. Let's see whether the daddy gets to hear those 4 words or not.
Mr. Hilliard, your wait is over. You are the father.
Thank you. Now apologize. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Come on. No, apologize. You see, Kathy, that's your grandson that you've been denying for 4 years. That's your baby.
Yeah. Now I want to see my baby.